Collective young adults, are we doing well tonight? Would you say so? Yeah? Yeah? A few of you. Are we doing okay tonight? Are we doing good? Yeah? Hey, it's great to be here with you guys tonight, and I just had a thought come to mind. It's good to be together tonight. I don't know. I just feel like it just feels good. It feels right. On Sunday night, every week we gather together, and it just feels right tonight. And so I just want to express gratitude for you guys. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you, even those of you I don't know. I don't know if you guys see me, but I'm up here trying to get you guys to jump. And then I walk through the back, and then I do like a little loop around before coming up here. And on that little loop, I'm just praying for you guys. I'm just praying for this gathering. I'm just praying for tonight. And I don't know many or all of you by name, but I'm just praying that the Lord shows up in a special way. So if you're looking for that tonight, I just pray that the Lord meets you in the midst of that. But hey, it feels great to be here tonight with you all. And we're really stoked about the next few weeks. We got volleyball coming up. Anybody going to win volleyball? Yeah? Landon, okay, he's going to win just single-handedly volleyball. We got our packing party for Feed New Mexico Kids, and if you're not able to be generous with your money, we just want to invite you to be generous with your time. Just dedicate some time in banding together around our community and supporting the kids of this city and of this state. We would love for you to come out and do that. And we're jumping in tonight officially into our new series. We're titling it Centered on the Good News of Jesus. Centered on the Good News of Jesus. What these next few weeks will look like is something somewhat like a vision series, if you want to call it that. Something like a culture statement series. And we want to take the next few weeks to really break down who we are as a community and as a gathering. Because about a year and a half into this, we should be pretty definite about who we are as a community and gathering. Don't you think so? We have a few phrases that we like to express here at Collective Young Adults. And that first phrase, you've probably seen it everywhere. You've probably seen it in Calvary main announcements. You've probably seen it on posters. You've probably seen it on the website. You've probably seen it on an invite card. Maybe you have no idea what this phrase is, and there's no judgment, even if you've been coming here for a year. The first vision statement we believe, the first culture, the pillar of this ministry we believe in, is that we exist and we desire to help young adults find purpose, belonging, and friendship centered on the good news of Jesus. That's the first thing when we began this ministry in November 2020. I'm not even going to say 2020 anymore. I'm going to say the year that shall not be named. Amen? The year that shall not be named, and we jumped into young adult ministry, my wife Sky and I. We desire to create a space on Sunday nights, or really just open up the space and let Jesus do the work of creating the space for us as individuals and you as an individual, as a young adult, 18 to 20, whatever, to find purpose, belonging, and friendship centered on Jesus. And then I feel that there's a new phrase placed on my heart for this ministry. This ministry, through conversation with people who have come and gone, this ministry is just spending time a part of it with you all. I just believe this so deeply that Jesus' presence changes everything. I want to shorten that down to His presence changes everything. Because once you encounter the presence of Jesus, it's hard to walk away unchanged. And so these are the two things we just want to really drive home for these next few weeks. We really want to drill down and understand what these phrases mean. Are you guys okay with that? Are you good with that? Yeah? Yeah, some of you are. Some of you are like, I don't even know why I'm here right now. That's okay. I love you. But hey, I think as human beings, we're designed to belong. Actually, I believe even further, I feel like we're born to belong. If you're taking notes, that's what I'm titling this talk tonight, Born to Belong. I think all humans, truly at the core of who they are, our DNA is embedded with the desire to belong. I'm going to start tonight off by walking through this phrase of belonging. I'm going to skip the purpose. I'm going to push that to next week. Because if I was to summarize Collective Young Adults, I'd summarize it as belonging and friendship. I believe that's the core of who we are as a group, as a gathering. Belonging and friendship. And I believe that as humans, at the core of who we are, we desire to belong to something. We desire to belong. I would say, right, we're born to belong. And if you spend any time in society, you'll begin to realize it doesn't take long, or it's not very hard to really belong to anything, okay? If you want to belong to UNM as a college student, what do you got to do? You got to pay way too much money, and then you got to attend classes. Then you're a student. You belong to UNM now. And by the way, I heard from somebody like school in New Mexico is free. Is this true? Yes? Why did they wait till I graduated? Okay. I want to get like a reimbursement. Do you think they'll give me my money back after now it's free? I'm like, well, thanks, guys. Maybe my degree is worth more now. I don't know. It doesn't take much to belong to be a student at a college. You just pay money, you attend. It doesn't take much to belong to a fan base of some type of media. For my people in the room playing Elden Ring, you guys know to be an Elden Ring fan, all you gotta do is play the game. For those of you who are into that show, New Girl, anybody watch that show? Yeah? Yeah, I already know. I already knew walking into this room tonight. What does it take to be a fan of New Girl? You gotta watch the show. It doesn't take much, doesn't it? Once you watch New Girl, you're now a part of the fan base of New Girl. You belong to the fan base of New Girl. And I swear, if one more person asks me if I've watched New Girl, I will decide to pass away. I am so over being asked that question. I'm going to now pass away. It doesn't take much to belong to really anything, does it? It's pretty shallow. It's pretty surface level. You can really belong to a lot of things without much effort or commitment. But I believe, as followers of Jesus, belonging looks a little different. I believe to have gospel-centered belonging, you need something a little less shallow. You need aspects a little more invested. I believe to be a follower of Jesus and belong somewhere, there's some things required of you and I to belong. And some things that we as followers of Jesus need to institute in our lives, implement in our lives to help others belong. So if it's okay with you, I want to ask you to turn to Acts chapter 2, verse 42. And while you turn there, let me explain why we're reading Acts chapter 2, verse 42. I believe Acts chapter 2, verse 42 is the pinnacle example of what it means to have gospel-centered belonging as a follower of Jesus. If you're doing anything, any form of gathering, any form of community, any form of quote-unquote church, this is the manual to go by. For those of you who are new to the Bible, I'll explain Acts while everyone's turning there really briefly. Acts, just think of it as a sequel to the Gospels. That's all Acts is a sequel, literally picking up right where Jesus left off with his disciples before he ascends. I said that. 40 days after he died and resurrected, he ascends. And now let me just tell you something. Studying this and just understanding Christianity, just being a follower of Jesus, if you can believe that a man rose from the dead 2,000 years ago and levitated into heaven, I think the rest of the Bible is like pretty easy. Just going to say that right now. So 40 days after Jesus is resurrected, he ascends into heaven and he sends out his disciples. And the book of Acts is their acts, their actions, their activities, what they're doing, what it means to follow Jesus, what it means to be the church. So the Holy Spirit falls around chapter 2, Pentecost. Everyone's going crazy. Everyone's speaking the same language, even though they're from all different places. Everyone thinks they're drunk, and we're like, it's not even early enough to drink a Four Loko. We're not drunk. We're just speaking in the Spirit. And they're in the Spirit. They're walking in it. And then where we pick up in Acts chapter 2, verse 42, is where we begin to get a manual, understanding of what it means to be the church. What does this mean? What does it mean to gather together? Why are we doing what we're doing right now? You ever ask that question? You ever be like, why do they let Nick speak, first of all? And then why do I come to this thing? Why do we sit in rows? Why do we do worship? Why do we break out in collective groups? Join a collective group, by the way. Why? Well, you're going to find out. It's in Acts chapter 2, verse 42. Let's read. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. Doesn't that sound just like the best time? And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. Daily those who were being saved. Do you remember the first time you ever felt the feeling of rejection? I know we're going deep quick. Whew, some of you were not ready. You're like, last night, bro. You may not be able to remember or recollect the first time you felt rejected in your life. For me, it had something to do with kindergarten, Power Rangers. I wasn't wearing the right shirt, felt rejected. I don't know if I can really recount the first feeling of rejection, but I can recount the most recent moment of rejection in my life. Can I tell you a story? Is that okay? How many of you have been here? It's 8:30. It's like a Tuesday. It's like a Thursday. You get off work. You're done with school. Whatever you do with all your time during the day. You got no groceries at home, or your roommate ate all your leftovers from last call, so you got nothing to eat. Or your mom didn't go grocery shopping. You should probably be doing your own grocery shopping. But you got nothing to eat. It's been a long day. You're exhausted. You're tired. You don't want to go to Smith's at 9 o'clock at night, 8:30 at night. Who wants to go to Smith's at that point in time in Albuquerque? None of us, okay? You're thinking to yourself, I am so hungry, and I'm either going to eat sleep for dinner, or I'm going to go find myself some food. You're probably going to go find yourself some food, right? I don't know who decided this, by the way. You go to get yourself some food, and in Albuquerque, unless you're at like 2 locations, everything closes at 9 p.m. You guys notice this? Why is everything closing at 9 p.m.? I cannot understand the degree to which someone understood, hey, we need to close these late night restaurants. Late night's like 8:30, okay? It's like, no, I need to be eating at 8:30. So anyway, every restaurant in Albuquerque closes at 9. So you run through your list of options, right? You got Dion's, you got Chick-fil-A. You think about getting Dion's, but then you work there for way too long in high school, so you got PTSD, and you just smell the lettuce as you think about it, and the dough on your yellow shirt, and someone 15 telling you what to do, and you say, get out of here. So you don't choose Dion's. Personal story, I'll share that another time. Then you think about Chick-fil-A, but Chick-fil-A, it's a Sunday. I don't know. Let's just make up this scenario. It's closed, because for some reason, Chick-fil-A likes to torture us and close on Sunday, okay? So you can't have Lord's Chicken on Sunday. So you go to tier 2, okay? I should make a fast food tier list and release it to you guys. Y'all need some knowledge. So you go to tier 2. Okay, we got McDonald's. We got Taco Cabana. Okay, there's probably going to be hair in your food, but it's something. Then you got like maybe Carl's Jr., okay? That's like bottom rung of the tier list. That is desperation, my friends. So you head over. It's 8:55. By the time you make up your mind, it's 9 p.m. Taco Cabana, let's just make up hypothetical. You go to Taco Cabana. It's 8:57 by the time you get to the doors. And then it's closing at 9. Get this, okay? And they give you the look. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? When you walk into a restaurant, it's about to close. The person's mopping the floor. So the cashier's just like, get a load of this guy over here. Coming in with 3 people. It's 3 minutes. You walk across the wet floor. Sorry. How do you walk across a wet floor, by the way? That tells a lot of who you are as a person. Heels. All day. Heels. You walk across the web. Sorry. You're just getting the dirtiest look. The cashier. Hi, welcome to Taco Cabana. You say, hey, look, man. Look at me in the eyes. I'm at Taco Cabana on a Thursday night at 8:53 p.m., okay? You think I'm not disappointed in myself right now, okay? We're both equally disappointed. But I am here. I made it. It's not closing yet, so I'm going to place my order. Number 57, please. Thank you. I'm going to go eat in my car. Maybe that's you. Hypothetical scenario. I thought that was going to be my reality last week. I thought I was going to roll in, apologize. Oh, yeah, this is another thing everybody does when a restaurant's about to close. They say, oh my God, are you guys closed? Are you guys closed? It's like, dude, you check the Yelp, you check the Google, you check the Apple Maps. You know they don't close till 9 p.m. You're just trying to be nice. I thought this was going to be my reality. I roll up at 8:57, okay? I'm like, oh, I can taste the fajita plate right now. Extra salsa ranch on the side. Salsa ranch is fire. I'm like going to the door. I'm like strutting. I like tell this guy, wait in the car. I'm going to get the food. It's like a bank heist. You know what I'm saying? You got to plan it out. I go to the doors. It's locked. The doors are locked. And I see the cashiers, I kid you not, see me and walk off into the kitchen. Like, what's so interesting in the kitchen, man? What's going on back there? Look at me in the eyes. I'm a human. I got rejected. By Taco Cabana. I had to go somewhere else or eat sleep for dinner. Rejection sucks. Wouldn't you agree? I'd say rejection is one of the primary enemies to belonging, to any aspect of belonging. any ounce of rejection immediately does away with belonging. And I'd say that amplifies when you start getting involved and concerned with what gospel-centered belonging looks like. Most people stepping away from the church felt rejected by the church. They don't belong in the church. And so what do we do? What do we do as a ministry, as a gathering? What do we do as followers of Jesus? What do we do as people to have people belong here? Well, I believe in Acts, what we just read, we can dig out 3 ways from the text this early church found to help people belong to what they were doing. If you're taking notes, the first way is this. The first way is that the early church was real. The early church was real. A few years ago, a psychologist by the name of Lisa Cronin did a study with a group of people, and we're going to try it out tonight for fun, because why not? She had a list of words on a piece of paper and got like 56 people to fill out these words. It was the beginning of a sentence with 2 spaces. I think we have a slide for it. If you want to, for fun, you can do it on your phone. A few spaces, just write down like GL dash dash, and then just, yeah, here we go. This is up right here. If you, it was just there. This will be back soon. But this psychologist, she had people, it's on the sides. Okay, there we are. Okay, so if you want, this is for fun, you can write down these words and just fill them in. There's no wrong answers, okay? There's no wrong answers. I will not judge you for putting booty or something, okay? So she had these people in this psychologist study, a group of like 56 people, fill out these words on a piece of paper, and then upon completion, she asked them questions, this group of psychologists led by her. People would fill in words like gluttony. People would fill in words like violence. People would fill in words like murder. People would fill in the craziest, most extreme words. And then when asked about their sheet, they'd say, hey, your words were very intense. Would you say that describes you as a person? And the people say, me? No. That's just vocabulary. This does not surmise my character of who I am. But then when asked about other people's pieces of paper and showed them, they'd ask them, do you think this describes something of what the person is going through right now? And they say, oh, yes. Oh, yes. This person put these intense words. They're probably, I kid you not, okay? This is a no-no for you guys out there. One dude in the survey said, yes, this woman must be on her time of the month. Okay, guys, no. If you want to survive on this side of heaven longer than 2 minutes, you never claim that about a woman. Let me tell you right now. That's a word. Some of y'all need to start taking notes, I swear. Give you some game while I got. Okay. Anyway, I get sidetracked. These other people, when it came to their own word study, had no criticism against themselves. They were quickly claiming, no, this does not describe who I am as a person. But when it came to other people, they were quick. They were quick to describe who these people are without even knowing them. And this is what Lisa Cronin said in conclusion of the study. Phenomenal quote. The conviction that we know others better than they know us, and that we may have insights about them they lack, but not vice versa, leads us to talk when we would do well to listen and to be less patient than we ought to be when others express the conviction that they are the ones who are being misunderstood or judged unfairly. Do you feel like the church has a hard time judging people? You can be real. I think the church, as people, we as Christians, we struggle with judgment. We struggle with judging people unfairly based upon information we don't really have about them. But when you begin to read about this early Acts church, when you begin to read these first 2 verses, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with the awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. That's a fascinating word, isn't it? Devoted. As followers of Jesus, they stood together and they were devoted to one another. The apostles' teaching, if you're unaware what that phrasing is, they would literally sit in a temple court called Solomon's Porch. Hey, shout out Sopo, that's the real name. But they sit in this temple court called Solomon's Porch outside the temple because they weren't really allowed inside because it was a bunch of whosoevers. They'd sit together and they'd listen to an apostle who literally walked with Jesus recount stories about Jesus. Could you just imagine that real quick? How phenomenal. You're eating, I don't know, falafel. You mean some hummus, I don't know, some pita bread, and just sitting, listening to somebody talk about walking with Jesus, like just stories. What was he like? What was the color of his eyes? What did he smell like? What would he joke about? This is most likely the conversations they were having, and they were talking about what it meant to actually follow Jesus. And then they would get together and they would devote themselves to fellowship, and that word means sharing. So they're devoted to learning, being taught. They're devoted to doing life alongside one another. And let me tell you something. If you live life long enough with any amount of people or one individual person, it doesn't take long until things get real. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take long for your roommates to start ticking you off, okay? You spend enough time with an individual. You ever go on a trip with a friend, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to go to Malibu. We got an Airbnb on the beach. It's going to be the best time. We're going to have margaritas and go clubbing or whatever you do. I don't know. I'm not consenting to that behavior. But let's say you're like, have this whole trip planned with your friends. Then you go, and it's just the worst time. You know what I'm talking about? Your friend has like the worst BO and has no idea of personal space. You got your AirPods in. You're on the flight. They're like, I was just so excited to just talk to you this whole time. I just want to download, girl. Just want to figure out what's going on with you. You're like, I got AirPods in, and I got my favorite Harry Potter Goblet of Fire book. You think we're gonna be talking right now? Doesn't take long spending time with people until things get real. And let me tell you, I can imagine for these followers of Jesus devoting their life to one another, devoting intentional community alongside one another. They were willing to be real. They were willing to spend time having the hard conversations. They were willing to spend time to get in the midst of other people's mess because they go from one place to another alongside each other. I want to ask you, are you real tonight? Are you real with the people around you? Are you able to have the hard conversations? Maybe after tonight. Honestly, a great model for this, listen to tonight. Go get, I don't know, not Dion, something better with your friends and talk through it. Ask the hard questions for each other. Are you willing to be real? Here's another thing about being real. If you pay attention, verse 43, everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. The word everyone is very specific. It's used many times in Acts when describing miracles or an apostle or a disciple doing some kind of form of miracle or sign. It wasn't just everyone in the Christian community. It was everyone. It was those who were onlookers in the city. It was those who were walking in the streets with the apostles, seeing what was happening, having nothing to do with Jesus. It was everyone. It'd be like me saying, we, collective, are doing this right now, but then everyone on the west side. It'd be kind of equivalent to that kind of language. It's so beautiful in Acts when you read about it. People are going to and from in different parts of their city, healing people. There's a story of John and Peter just walking to the temple, not even at church yet, and they're healing somebody just at the gate. They're like, oh, you want to be healed? I don't got money for you, but I got legs. And then he is not paralyzed anymore. They're walking through the city. They're healing the blind and the lame. It's phenomenal. This shows to me who these people were, who these apostles, these followers of Jesus were inside the church. They were the same outside the church. Inside the church, they're describing the acts of Jesus. They're talking about it, but they're able to apply of what they're saying to what they know, to what they do. Do you see what I'm saying? So asking that question, are you real? And then a harder question, are you consistent? Are you the same person here when you roll up? See that garage door open, the coffee, you're like, oh, it's decaf again. Here we go. Are you the same individual interacting with people here at a Jesus church gathering? Do you speak Christianese? You ever hear this phrase? Grace to you, blessings, right? Are you consistent? And then when you go home, are you a completely different person? And you wait all week until you get back here again to be a different person again? Or are you willing to be consistent in your character and who Jesus has called you to be? Are you real? Next thing is this. If you're taking notes, they were real, but this is how the early church fostered a culture of belonging. They were ready. They were ready. Let's go back real quick and read 44 to 45. It says this, All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Okay, I'm going to level with you guys. Researching this, a bunch of people are like, oh, finally, communism. It's in the Bible. I have to tell you right now, my friends, this is not communism. I am sorry for anyone who wants to become a communist. Communism is not in the Bible, okay? What does this look like? Sharing everything, generosity. Okay, so I have to join a communist cult to follow Jesus. Great, okay, finally. Been waiting my whole life. No. See, at the time in Rome, if I can get historical on you for a moment, I mean, you're here, might as well. At the time in Rome, there was a system known as a patronage system, okay? Track with me. There's people in a higher class, and there's different systems and hierarchies. So let's say if you're a politician, you have a really high class, you make a lot of money, but then let's say you're like a street vendor merchant, you'd make okay money, you wouldn't have high class, you wouldn't be ranked high in society, you would be kind of poor. Well, what would happen in the patronage system is that higher elected people, higher up people in society would give favors or would do certain things for the lower ranking people in society. So let's say a merchant wants to go sell some shish kebab at the Coliseum, but he needs a spot, he needs to know a guy, so he asks his politician friend. He would tell him, yes, I will speak on your behalf, I'll speak well of you, I'll give you this honor, but you're going to owe me. And people would give honor and give certain things expecting something in return at any point in time they could recall a favor. Sounds like pretty awful, honestly. So the idea of like generosity, okay, that these Christians are exercising is radical. We kind of take it for granted because we live in a Western civilization built on Christian values. And so we just kind of take for granted, like everyone has civil rights, everyone has human rights. Not in the Roman Empire. At the Roman Empire, you had to work your way. And if you didn't make it, you didn't make it. And no one was generous to anyone without expecting something in return. I love this quote by my father-in-law. He's a legend. He says, if I give you something and expect something in return, that's a business deal. But if I give you something and expect nothing in return, that's generosity. That's generosity. This is what this Christian community was doing at this point in time. They were spending time with one another, right? They have to get real. They're spending like all day with each other. They're like good friends. They're close allies. So they are aware and they're involved in each other's lives. See, to exercise generosity as a follower of Jesus, those are two components you need. You need to be aware and involved. If you're not aware and involved in people's life, it's pretty hard to be generous. And I'm talking about generosity, not like, hey, you see a guy on the side of the road, and you decide to give him like $10, or you decide to go buy him a meal. Like, that's very good of you, great job. But generosity is a commitment. Generosity is more of a lifestyle than a feeling. Because when you see that guy on the side of the road, you're like, oh, he has a dog. It's a Chihuahua. I have to give him $5. I don't know. I'm going to go get Dion's, even though Nick said not to go. See, that's giving, but being generous is committed. See, these Christians, they were committed to each other. It's that phrase, see a need, meet a need. You ever hear that before? They saw a need, and they met a need. They were willing to step into each other's circumstances and to be generous and to give so that none had want. None had need. That's what it goes on to say. Nobody was desperate. Nobody was homeless. Nobody was poor. Everybody shared everything. And again, it's not a communist, weird, compound cult thing. It's just, hey, you need groceries? Hey, I make a lot of money. I have a lot of excess. I have a lot of wealth. Let me just go get that for you. And it was never, oh, you're going to, spot me next time we go out to eat brunch, and then I'm going to spot you, and hey, make sure to cash at me. That's not generosity. That's business deals. So you may ask, what does this look like? What does this look like practically? What does it look like to be generous to your community? Just begin to ask. This is why we do collective groups. This is why we do any form of smaller group. I don't want to challenge you if you're not a collective group, get in one. Really pointless coming to this without going to that, honestly. If you're in a group of some sort, even if it's not official, sit down in your community this week. Sit down with the people in your community, maybe at home, and just begin asking questions. Maybe here's an exercise. Begin your collective group this week, any form of group, any form of conversation, any form of friend group. Just ask people, hey, is anyone like in need here? It's pretty embarrassing to ask for help, isn't it? As people, we're prideful. We'd rather go to the government. We'd rather go to a lot of things before going to our friends. I think as the church, we should be the model of generosity to one another. I will never forget this. I remember being a part of a small group when I was like 17 or 18. And it was led by these two individuals by the names of Breezy and AJ. They're legends, okay? Some of you know. And AJ began the group every week. Hey, before we kind of crack open the word, before we get into the food, before we start talking and praying with each other, is anyone in need here? And it wasn't like someone's like, yeah, I want to buy like fresh new pair, like the Dunks. You see those on GOAT? Pretty clean. They're $220. Could somebody spot me? No, it was, hey, does somebody need groceries? Hey, does somebody need gas money to get back home tonight? And we would just give to the pot. There's somebody who actually needed help with groceries that week, and we were able to spot them groceries for the week. And it was never this weird, like, oh, this is weird. Is this allowed? Am I enabling them? It was people you're involved with in your life. Because there's people, I bet you, involved in your life that are going hungry. There's people involved in your life that are not eating at night. There's people at your life that need help with something, but they're too afraid to ask. So get involved. Be aware. They're ready to meet these needs. The last thing is this. They were real. They were ready. But they're also redeemed. They're redeemed. Let's wrap up tonight by rereading this last section of this verse. Every day, they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. Get this. The Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. Daily, those who were being saved. You ever read this verse and just kind of glance over there like, oh, numbers. Oh, churches who count. Oh, my gosh, mega churches. Oh, my goodness. They're big events with their big numbers, and they're talking about how many salvations. It's biblical to keep count. But I think it's fascinating the way in which they kept count. See, it doesn't say their ministry grew and people came to know Jesus and be redeemed by him by their really fresh sandals. It doesn't say people were redeemed and were forgiven for their sin because they saw, man, those togas. Look at my man rocking that Roman citizen toga right there. He is so fresh, I want to follow whatever he's following. It doesn't say anything having to do with fad or trend or what's seen as cool. Doesn't matter the big screens, the big lights, the haze, the smoke, the stage, the mic. It's kind of ironic me doing all this. Doesn't say all that, doesn't it? What does it end with? What was the context of all of this? They were real. They were generous to each other. They lived life in community. And they spent time with one another. And I imagine they spent so much time with one another that it began to attract those outside the circle of influence of Christianity. And they just saw how authentic and loving and kind they were. And they were just drawn to that. Is that what Jesus says? This is how they will know you are my disciples, by the way you love one another. It was said today, Pastor Al Pittman, he killed it. Church does a really good job. The only army that shoots its own wounded. I think we as followers of Jesus need to remember Jesus' words, that this is how they will know you will love one another. This is how they'll know about me. And I think we can kind of get caught up as Christians into what culture is, into what trends are, into what's cool, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, people feel like they can't relate to the church, that they have nothing in common with it, and that at the end of the day, they have no desire to be a part of it. All they see is people arguing. All they see is people backbiting each other. All they see is division. There's like enough of that in the world. Why would I want to join what you're doing? So I think as followers of Jesus, we need to be reminded that we're redeemed. I think as followers of Jesus, you need to be reminded that church isn't a group of perfect people. It's a group of redeemed people. But that's the goal, isn't it? The goal is to show and display to people that, hey, following Jesus is the best. Following Jesus is like the bee's knees. Following Jesus, nothing compares to it. Following Jesus gives forgiveness. Following Jesus gives redemption. And if we display to the world through authentic community, being generous and living life with one another, people will begin to belong. People will begin to belong. Let me share this quote from you from Paul David Tripp in his book, Lead. This is what he says. The gospel tells you that no matter how long you have known the Lord, or no matter how successful you have been in his work, You need his grace right now as much as you did the first moment you believed. Whew. The gospel doesn't work to make you independent and self-reliant, but willingly dependent on God and the community of grace he has placed around you. Man, could just end right there. Are you real? Are you ready? Do you know you're redeemed? And being redeemed is a mindset. It's a mindset of knowing that, like I spoke of a few weeks ago, every day is a choice to be the prodigal son. You never graduate from grace, okay? Are we ready to step into people's mess? Are we ready to allow people to belong? Let me tell you, my friends, my goal of this ministry, my goal is to have this room be a room full of people who do not look like each other. To have this room be a room full of people who may differ on a few of the non-important things. I want this room full of Democrats and Republicans and liberal, whatever. As long as you're a follower of Jesus and you believe the foundational things of who Jesus is and his character and he's changed you, you're welcome here. Even if you don't, you're still welcome here. You are allowed to belong before you believe. So can we be that kind of community? I'm calling you up right now. Can we be that kind of community? This begins very hypothetical when you do it alone. But together, can we be those kinds of people that when the name collective young adults is mentioned, it's not, oh, they're very like trendy and they got big screens and they're very like in with the times. No, when it's mentioned, is no, the people there care about each other. The people there care about people that don't look like them. The people there love people even when they're hard to love. Can we be that community? It's up to us. Let me pray for you. Father, thank you for who you are. Thank you that with you we belong. Thank you that belonging with you is not shallow. It's not momentary. It's not based upon what we do. It's not based upon prerequisites or being holy or being perfect, but it's in trusting you and admitting we need your forgiveness. It's all it takes to belong to you, Father, is to admit that we need help, that we can't be our own Savior. So, Father, I pray for any individual in this room tonight who maybe has felt like they have never belonged in the church, who's maybe felt like they've never belonged in your arms, who's never felt like they're welcome in your love, that those walls may just come down tonight by your Spirit, Father. And it's not through maneuvering, through nice speech or interesting questions, but it's just through your power in the Spirit, Jesus. You penetrate our hearts tonight, and you show us that we can belong to you. All we got to do is admit that we need you. So, Father, I pray for my friends in this room who have not made that decision. Lead them in that. Help them have a conversation about that. And help us to be a community of people who's ready to see a need and meet a need. Let us be a community who is real with each other. Let's just remind ourselves we're redeemed by you. Pray this in your name. Amen. All right, y'all. Let's worship.